help have tried everything. I mean,
Mhm.
they feel that they've tried every diet. They
Yes.
maybe some of them have had bariatric surgery.
Mhm.
I have a number of clients who are currently on these new weight loss drugs that are really trying to
Mhm.
heal their relationship with food, so to speak.
Mhm.
In other words, they know that it's not a quick fix. They know it's not just about eating the right amount or looking everything up that they eat, but that
Mm-mm.
it really is about understanding why they do what they do in the first place.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, oh, it's way more than that. Way more
Mhm.
than,
Yeah.
I remember years ago, the dietitians would have the little plate and just have this and this and this and this. It's like if only it was that easy.
It's not that simple.
No.
The process that we teach is actually fairly simple, but
Mm.
it's not easy either because the truth is that we are really trying to get to the roots of why people do what they do.
Okay. Okay.
We're really going beyond the, eat less, exercise more model to really
Mhm.
helping people understand what drives their eating. For most people, that's the missing link. Why do you do what you do? And
Okay.
that's just something after 25 years of doing this, it's something that I love, love, love helping people figure out what's actually happening.
Wow.
And once they see it, then it's so obvious that this is a simple, way to think about it. I have a client, Wendy, that came to me. Literally, she said it was her last ditch effort. She
Mm.
was a retired, very successful banker
Mhm.
and had struggled with food and body image her entire life and
Mhm.
really thought that there was nothing for her that would ever help.
Oh.
And she says that it literally transformed her life. It gave her life back. And she now has the ability to travel. She loves cooking and eating with friends and family. She's no longer obsessing about food.
Mhm.
And she will be the first to admit that she's learned how to manage her emotional needs without turning to food. That's
Really?
amazing, right? I mean, to get your life
Really?
back is just
Oh,
amazing.
exactly. And here's a woman who was so successful, right,
Right.
in her job, but then to take her out of that job, she
Yeah.
didn't know where to begin.
It's actually very common in people that I
Mhm.
work with. A lot of the people, and it's mostly women, but we help men. Men love the program, but a lot of women are very, very successful in other areas of their lives, but
Mhm.
they feel that their body has failed them or they see their body as a failure. And that breaks my heart. I identify with that. I was a physician and still was struggling with food. So I
Mhm.
don't believe that the issue is just you don't have enough information or you don't know what you're supposed to do. In
Right.
fact, I would venture to say that many of my clients know more about nutrition than most doctors do because they've
Mhm.
read every book, every article, they watch everything, they try everything. So
Mhm.
they've learned a lot. They just don't understand what is driving their eating behaviors. And that's what we do.
So emotions is a big piece of it.
Well, emotional eating and also mindless habitual eating, I think, are
Yes.
the two biggest areas.
Mhm.
So, if you focus on sort of the simple things, I mean, we live in an abundant food environment. Food is
Mhm.
everywhere. And of course, during the holidays, it is everywhere, everywhere, right? It's all around us. Food is quite abundant and we're advertised about it and we use it to get people to come to meetings and we use it to
True.
reward ourselves for getting through a hard day. So, food is one of these ubiquitous ways that we motivate ourselves and bring a little pleasure to our lives. On top of that, we also have a lot of emotional reasons that we eat. And the biggest two that my clients talk about is boredom,
Yeah.
eating because they don't have anything more
Mhm.
exciting to do,
Mhm.
or they are eating because they feel stressed. And so they're using food to calm their emotions, calm their nerves, calm
Mhm.
their overwhelm.
Right.
And so food works. I mean, we do it because it does make us feel better for a little while.
Mm.
Or if you're bored and you eat, you've got something to do until you stop eating and then you're bored again. So you have to eat again,
Exactly.
which is the problem, right?
Exactly.
So recognizing that it actually works is, I think, an important step. You do it not because you don't know better, but because it actually, for a little while anyway, it does make you feel better.
Mhm.
However, the effects of it doesn't last, and eventually you're bored again or you're stressed again, and
Mhm.
now you feel overly full and guilty.
Mhm.
So that cycle, we call it the eat, repent, repeat cycle
Okay.
of eating to feel better, then feeling guilty about it and
Mhm.
trying to make
Mhm.
up for it by restricting and depriving yourself,
Mhm.
which, by the way, is a third reason that people struggle with food. It turns out that restriction and deprivation actually cause us to want to eat even more. I mean, we think about the foods we can't have, we miss them. And when we finally do get them, it's really hard to stop eating them. So that cycle of eating because of
Absolutely.
environmental cues or emotional cues, and then trying to restrict and deprive to make up for it,
Mhm.
it drives a cycle that most people get trapped in, and they don't really understand why they haven't been able to break free.
Well, and people talk about it, the deprivation, it's like got this paradoxical. So all you do is you're obsessing about the foods you can't eat. It's
Exactly.
it's from sun up to sundown. It's oh my God, and how long can I control myself and stay
Mhm.
away?
Mm.
And then, like you say, it backfires.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
the people are so hungry, they're just diving into whatever
Mm.
whatever they've got that to fill that void.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. And of course, the irony of it is that, we when we restrict and diet and deprive, thinking that that's going to help us, then we
Mm,
end up eating more. It actually causes people to think, oh, see, I'm addicted to sugar, or I'm out of control around sugar. We teach people it's not about being in control, it's about being in charge. So, being in control is willpower and resistance. Being
yes.
in charge is simply decision making. And by being aware, oh, I'm wanting to eat because I'm bored. I could eat, and I could go find something to do. And then when I get hungry, food
Mhm.
will taste even better and be more satisfying. And I might actually accomplish something in the meantime. It
Wow.
seems overly simple. That's one of my more simple examples. But the truth of the matter is, it is not about willpower. It's about learning how to be in charge.
Wow, those are wise words. And you've proven it out for many years. You have seen this over and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had the very good fortune to work with literally tens of thousands of patients, depending, or clients, depending on if you count speaking audiences as well as my private clients that I coach. So, through the years, I just have seen people get their lives back like Wendy. And that's just amazing to me that, they've tried everything under the sun and then finally find their way back to their own mindful wisdom about how to care for their bodies.
Exactly. So, do you have classes that you offer people like in group settings? You mentioned coaching, you do one-to-one coaching.
Mhm.
How can
So we
people
actually
access?
we deliver the program in a lot of different ways. One of the things that we do is we train other health and wellness professionals
I
to
see.
offer workshops or programs, even
Okay.
therapy for those who are therapists. We also offer corporate workshops, so organizations can bring mindful
Mm.
eating programs in.
Mhm.
And then we also provide workshops, retreats, group coaching, individual
Oh.
coaching, and of course, books and workbooks. So it's really whatever way an
Mhm.
individual wants to access the material, it's available.
So what do you recommend for somebody, one of our listeners who's really interested, say, yeah, I really want to learn more, where's their first port of call? Is it to go to the website?
Go to the website
Okay.
and download the first chapter of Eat What You Love, Love What You Eat. You'll see the
Okay.
mindful eating cycle there. You'll learn about restrictive eating, you'll learn about overeating, and you'll learn about instinctive eating.
Mhm.
It's a very simple chapter, but it should cause you to look at this issue in a completely different way.
Wow.
And if it resonates for you, you
Hmm.
could get the rest of the book, buy the book, or you could reach out to us and learn more about our workshops and coaching.
Hmm.
Even maybe whether there happens to be somebody in your area who's offering programs too.
Oh, so you've got a team of, you've trained people that are
Yes.
now all over.
Yes, yes. We've actually trained people in 35 different countries. Speaking of global,
Wow.
yes, yes. I mean, this
Wow.
mindful eating is an amazing approach to
Yes,
a problem that has not been so far solved by any other fixes
it
that have
really
been
hasn't.
offered. So, yeah, I think we're going to see someday that we'll look back on all these years of diet after diet and go, what
Mhm.
were we thinking? I think diets will be
Exactly.
the leeches of the future.
And that should give our listeners a lot of comfort, right? Because we eat, a lot of it is looking for that comfort. But
Yes,
the real
exactly.
comfort is, wow, you can break free of this.
Absolutely. And as you heal your relationship with food, food
Hmm.
can then become a wonderful, enjoyable part of your life.
Ah.
Part of the problem with our cultural approach to eating is that
Hmm.
it becomes a love-hate relationship. We want
Exactly.
it, we enjoy it, but then we're afraid we're going to lose control. We feel
Hmm.
like we are being bad. It doesn't have to be like that. Food can be a wonderful way to connect with people, to bring pleasure, even comfort into your own life. But
Yeah.
it's when you're using it in a way that's really healthy and balanced and mindful that makes all the difference.
Exactly. Well, this is so encouraging. You're a wealth of encouragement and knowledge. I mean, you have learned from your own experience.
Mm,
And then look what has happened. You started
yes.
working with people, and this has really evolved into this is your full time, right? This is what
Yes.
you do full time.
Yes, I left my medical practice, 17 years ago. I've been doing
Wow.
this full time since then. So, yes, I'm very,
Wow.
very lucky to have
Yes.
found something that really is born out of my own personal struggles
Mhm.
and now has helped so many people. I feel really, really blessed that I've been
That is so
able to do that.
awesome.
Hmm.
And we can't underestimate the benefits to one's health, okay, for adopting
Yes.
this mindful eating. This
Absolutely. It's not healthy to go on and off diets or to
it's
lose and gain weight and,
not
obsess about food. I mean, really, what is so beneficial about this is to put eating into its proper perspective in our lives,
Mhm,
where it is the
mhm.
way that we fuel living, which is really what eating is
Wow,
for. It's taken on this
love that.
monstrous proportion in our culture. And I think if we can get
Mhm.
back to a way of managing our eating that feels natural and balanced
Right.
and doable, that I think is amazing for
That
people.
is so awesome. And of course, I'm sure you cover the types of foods. I mean, our culture, it glamorizes all the unhealthy foods.
Yeah.
There's so many foods that I don't want to say that you shouldn't eat, but they're just not healthy.
Well, and here's the problem. All foods can fit into a balanced diet. There's no food that's
That's
going to hurt
right.
you in moderation. The
Hmm.
problem that I see over and over again is that people tell themselves they shouldn't eat it. So I love your little catch and saying, no, I guess I shouldn't say that. Once they believe that they shouldn't eat something and they don't
Hmm.
let themselves and they crave it and then, deprive themselves and then feel
Right,
guilty when they eat it, then
right.
they end up overeating it, then it does become a problem.
Then it becomes
So
a
I
problem.
think this is such a much more balanced approach. That's why I call my books Eat What You Love
Yeah,
and Love What You Eat.
yeah.
Love it in a way that shows that you really are using it for nourishment, not to meet all of your other needs, and that you know that there's lots of other ways to take care of yourselves self besides eating.
That is so awesome. So we will include the link to your website in the show notes below, and I would encourage our listeners to get on that website and download that first chapter.
And we have so many free articles, blog posts on there. There's a quiz to test your own eating cycle. I mean,
Mhm,
I'm all about education. I believe that this is a big transformation in the way that we think about eating.
mhm.
So we offer a lot of free resources to get people started and get people thinking.
That's beautiful. And honestly, it's something you can share with your friends and your family.
Mm,
And think about it. Almost everybody is thinking about food on some level or another. And if the way we approach, like you say, the relationship with our food, if
mm,
we love, like you say, eat what you love,
mm.
and but it has to do with your own self-love.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's a wonderful way, I think, to begin to really open the door to listening to your inner wisdom.
Mhm,
This is something that we've lost when it comes to eating. We're so tuned in to what the latest expert says we should and shouldn't do and what the
yeah,
bad food and the good food. And
yeah,
when you're my age, I'm 61, honestly, I've seen all the fads come and go. I remember when it was low
exactly.
fat and then now it's low carb, and we've seen all the foods get labeled bad at one time or another. But when you relearn how to listen to your inner wisdom
Mhm,
and approach eating in a more balanced way, it
mhm.
it truly it frees up your energy to live the big vibrant life you crave, the one that you think you're going to get if you finally get control over your eating.
Wow. So you can dream again. You can
Yes,
dream those
you
big
can
dreams
live again. My
and live.
yeah, exactly. My tagline is eat mindfully, live vibrantly, because that's what I want. I want people to eat in a more mindful way and free up their energy to use that energy to live the big, vibrant life that they thought they'd get. So
Yes. So really, you are helping make the world a better place.
I hope so. I hope so.
It's so awesome. It's been an absolute privilege to have you here today, Dr. Michelle. And I'm going to have those links below and encourage our listeners to download the first chapter of that book and then reflect on it and decide, do you want to take the next step and the next step and the next step? And it sounds like your work is transformational for people.
I believe it is. I believe it is. Thank you so much for the privilege of sharing this with you and
And
your
thank you
audience.
so much. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Take
All
care,
right,
Mary.
then. Bye bye.
Bye.
about who is Miss Gretchen Long.
Oh man, let's talk about it a little bit. So, hello everyone to the She Trucking Podcast audience. My name is Gretchen Long. I am the founder and CEO of Long Money Trucking Services.
Are they doing something?
Available at Amazon, BNN, Kobo, and iTunes. Thanks again for listening to my presentation.
Hello, homeschooling parents. I have a question for you today. Are you homeschooling a promising student? Before you say yes or no, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. What is your definition of a promising student? Well, Cambridge Dictionary states a promising student is likely to be very good or successful in the future. Doesn't this suggest that a promising student is likely not to be very good or successful at the moment? But this definition gives us hope that a not so good student right now is destined for better days. So let me ask you again, are you homeschooling a promising student? If your child is having educational or behavioral challenges, I've got good news for you. You are homeschooling a promising student, and better days are ahead. My name is parent coach Sharoya Ham. I'm a behavior specialist helping parents to change their behavior so you can remain calm, consistent, and confident that you're doing the right thing. In my job and working with clients, I deal with families who are really struggling to help their children meet the educational behavioral goals that they have set for them. Well, today I'm going to tell you just 3 simple steps that I take all of my clients through and helping them to understand this process is simple, yet it requires your attention. And so today I'm going to ask for your attention just during this video so I can help share those 3 simple steps with you. Are you ready? The steps are: be calm, take note, and connect the dots. Be calm, take notes, and connect the dots. I'm going to say it one more time because these are the 3 steps I'm going to be talking about today. Be calm, take notes, actually take notes, and connect the dots. You know, I want to warn you because we as parents, we tend to jump over the simple and get the complicated. What programs are out there that can help my child read better? But sometimes we just need to start with the simple. And I want to do just that for you today. So step 1 is to be calm. How do you get calm? I'm going to share that with you in a moment because pretty much you know what works for you to get calm. So we want to just remind you in this area. But before I do that, I want to share with you a story. 8 years ago, my son, Miles, his name is Miles, he was struggling in middle school. I recognized after receiving his standardized test scores, for 2 years in a row, he had been struggling. The scores had barely moved. I thought, what is going wrong? And so I called the school up. I said, no, I don't just want to meet with one teacher at a time. Please, can I have a parent-teacher conference with everybody in the room? I walk in the room, all the teachers are there. They begin to tell me what they're seeing, the deficiencies in his academics. Then they start to tell me about his behavioral issues. I knew then there was something going on because as a veteran teacher who used to teach math in high school, I knew that when my kids were struggling academically, That's when their behavior started to flare up and be inappropriate. So I left there really disturbed because never before had I heard such bad news with him. I knew he wasn't the finest student, getting the tops, the A's and the B's all the time, but I knew he had great potential. I came home, I lay down in the bed, I was praying and crying. And something happened I will always remember. My son, 6 foot tall, 12 years old, came walking into my bedroom, knelt down by the side of my bed, and said, Mom, I don't, if you're crying because of what those people said, I don't care what they said. I want you to know that I'm going to be okay. You know, in that moment, I looked at his face. He was so convincing. I knew he was going to be okay. The problem was me. I needed to get my mind off of doom and gloom and look at his face and see that he is not a struggling student, but he recognized that he was a promising student. He recognized that right now he might be struggling, but indeed he was going to see better days. My son taught me the value of being calm. And today I want you to understand that this concept of being calm is simple, but yet it was even enough for Harvard University to study and to find out that when parents have a lot of fear and anxiety, it affects their child's learning and development. And that's a Harvard University study. So I'm here to say to you, no matter where you are on this journey of homeschooling, if you just started schooling your child and you're like, what do I do? I want you first to start with being calm. And I'm going to tell you how to do that just a moment. But I really want it to get into your innermost being that you are going to stifle your child's learning and development if you don't show up every day being calm. So let me help you. Consider some options for how you can be calm. Here, I want to give you 3 things. Number 1, take time to write down your concerns at night. You know, our worries play tricks with us, and more so they sap us of our energy. So I want to encourage you every night to develop a practice just to write down your concerns. Just a list, not a sentence, not a reflection. What is concerning you? Oh, how long is going to take me to get this done today? Or will my son have a meltdown today? These are the things that concern you. Look at your list and just set one goal, just one goal. I make a point to today or tomorrow, you're setting the goal the night before, I'm going to make a point to just sit down with my son in the room while he's doing his math. Just sit there and see if that helps. Just one goal, because what happens when we set one goal and we reach it? The momentum builds and we can go on to other things. Okay, so first you can just write a list of things that concern you about the next day. The next thing you'll do is simply look at that list, set one small goal for yourself to assist your promising student. Then number 3 is very important. You got to be proactive. You know, when parents and working with clients, when they get upset is when they feel like their back is against the wall. Their child is asking them for something and it's not the right time and they don't know how to respond. So I want you to start thinking about what could go wrong tomorrow and then just writing a little routine that you can do to keep it at minimum, okay? So what am I talking about? Let me be a little bit more specific. One thing that I implemented when I was a homeschool mom is someone gave me this great advice is to treat my child as if he weren't my own. And you know, when she said it, I was like, what? But then I realized what she meant. What she's saying is, we're not rude to other people's children. We're least likely to yell at other people's children. And I found that that worked. Get myself into the mindset that this is someone else's child and that's how I'm going to speak to him. If you can make that part of your routine, perhaps that will help. Here's another thing. Watch what you're thinking about your child. If you're thinking they're stubborn, that's not going to help you. But if you're thinking, okay, my child right now is really adamant about this. Now, should I just back away until he comes down and I am able to reason? But adamant is a good quality. Stubborn is not. Be careful of the words you choose to describe your promising student. So I want you to write the night before, what words can you use instead of the negative ones that often pop up? It's important to be proactive so you can show up in the morning calm. And another thing that you should think about is that when things begin to escalate, where your child's behavior maybe is having a meltdown and you're losing your patience, go small and go quiet. Sit down and just limit your words. This opens space up for your child to examine their behavior. When you're yelling at them, guess who they're blaming? They're blaming you for getting them riled up. But when it's quiet, they have no one to blame, and they're more likely to see that their behavior is inappropriate. So I just want to encourage you to be proactive the night before about how you will show up calm the next day. Our kids are supposed to show up to school ready to learn. We need to show up calm so that they can have the confidence they need to learn and develop. All right, so once you spend time getting yourself prepared and ready to go to wake up calm, please don't touch that cell phone. You know that that does not help you be calm in the morning. So think about it. Lay down. Maybe you can do 10 breaths before you get out of bed. Maybe you can sing a song. Maybe you can pray. Whatever it is, before your feet hit the floor, get calm. And after you get calm, we want to move on to the second step. You know, Albert Einstein once said, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. Doesn't this seem a little backwards? Most of us get on Google and start, my child needs this, my child is slow in reading, what do I do? All of us, we're looking for solutions, not just for 55 minutes. We can spend hours on Google looking for products and the tricks, what we can do to help our kid. But Albert Einstein had something he recognized. He understood that if we understand the nuances of the problem, we can get to the solution faster. If we understand when our child is reading well or not reading, or the little things like, are they reading well in this subject and not that subject? Or maybe they're reading well when it's pictures in the book, you know, the nuances. That's what we have to take note of. Now, where we go wrong is many times we think, oh, I've got it here, I've got it here. But I'm going to tell you something I learned being a veteran teacher, helping students who were failing in math. The kids were sent to me. I was affectionately called the last grade hope because when the kids arrived in my classroom, they had failed Algebra 1 twice. They were taking it for the third time. But you know what those days of teaching those promising students taught me? Taught me the value of writing down notes. I took note of how long they could pay attention before they just went haywire. I took note of what problems were easy and what problems were hard. I took note of, what was the challenges each one of them were facing, and I wrote down. And guess what? I began to connect some dots. And so what I recognized was that for the problems that they found easy, I tried to change the harder problems to kind of look like the easier problems. I had to slow my pace down. And those who their attention was challenged pretty much the whole class after failing twice, you don't want to pay attention. But what I decided to do was teach for 15 minutes, give them 2 minutes to just chat in intervals between my teaching. I had to learn to be unorthodox to reach them. Because what I really wanted them to feel and believe, I wanted them to be like Miles. I wanted them to know that they were going to be okay. So, what is it that you need to write down? What you need to do is take notice of what you want your child to do. What is it that you're trying to get them to do? Do you want them to pay attention longer, to expand their focus? Do you want them to, reduce the amount of anxiety meltdowns that they have? You want your child to feel confident. Well, then you must pay attention to these behaviors outside of the classroom. When are they doing it? When are they succeeding? And you want to put a pin right there and let them know, you know what? Today I saw your confidence. Wow, I couldn't believe how long you focused on that. That was excellent. It seems your attention span is growing. You're not just patting them on the back, telling them they're a super duper kid. You want to be specific. So let me just back up a little bit. You want to take notice of when your child is doing the behavior. So if they're sitting down, or they're reading or doing a task with confidence, you want to write down the day, the time, who was around and what did they say. I'm telling you, just trust me. For 14 days, I want to challenge you to do this, because maybe your child is having meltdowns in the morning, and you have never really just tried allowing them to sleep until they wake up and find out how is their mood. So in this 14 days, if your child is having some mood issues or meltdowns in the morning, what you can simply do is let them sleep and see if she wakes up in a better mood, if she's able to do her homework. Take note of that. What time she woke up, what time, how long it took to get dressed. These things that you want to shape your homeschool around so that your child can succeed. Maybe your child is not feeling confident. They always want you to sit next to them. So I want you to just see moments when they're outside of the classroom, outside of school, where they're exhibiting confidence. Maybe it's at the grocery store. They're speaking into an adult and with such confidence. You can simply say afterwards, wow, I noticed how confident you were in speaking to that adult. That is going to serve you well in college when you're talking to your professors. It can even serve you well when you become a supervisor and you're talking to your staff. Do you see that? You're talking to your kid, you're pinpointing things about their behavior that are going well outside of the classroom. And then you're pinning it to their future, helping them to see the connection between the skill of confidence will bring them success in the future. It will trickle into the classroom. But first, you must take note and look for opportunities when you see your child doing the appropriate behavior. So many times we spend time focusing on what is going wrong. I want to challenge you for 14 days to look and see what is going right when it's going right, where it's going right, and who's around. I don't want you to keep it here. I want you to keep it here. Why? So then you can do step 3, and that's to connect the dots. After you're calm, you wake up in the morning before your feet hit the ground, you're just having a moment of calm. Then you get up, you go through your day with that one goal in mind. And guess what? That's where you can start to take notes around that one goal. What happened? What did you say? How did they respond? What time of the day it was? What day it was? All of that good stuff in your notes. So we can do step 3, which is connect the dots. Now, how do we connect the dots? Listen, I've had so many clients over the years and talked to parents and recognize they're struggling with trying to find answers, solutions for their kids amongst all the 1,001 things that they have to do in a day. Prepare dinner, go to work, fix the car, do all of these different things. And so a lot gets lost. But when it's in this book, let me tell you what begins to happen. You read over it and you go, wow, okay, I set this goal on Monday. I was able to achieve it. And this is what happened. Oh, on Wednesday, I set this goal. I wasn't able to achieve it. This is what happened. And you begin to see a pattern. So you don't connect dots from memory. You can connect the dots from your notes. When I started writing notes down, when I was homeschooling my son Miles, I began to see some patterns. I recognized that he loved to do things with his hands. But as his teacher, his homeschool teacher, it was hard for me to find ways to keep him interested in all the lessons. But I noticed he worked best when the lessons were self-guided. But you know what? This was hard for me because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't allowing him to stay on the computer more than I instructed him. But guess what? What did the data say? The data said that he needed curriculum, that he could be self-guided, not direct instruction. I noticed he worked better with music blasting in his ear. Of course, I didn't want this. This is not the way I learned, nor did I think it was acceptable as a teacher. But guess what? The data showed that he did better in his writing when I allowed him to listen to music. I also recognized from taking notes that when I said to him, you can do this assignment for 30 minutes and then you can stop. It's finished for the day. You know what? He actually did it. He worked the entire 30 minutes and he did his assignments more accurately. You would think that he would lollygag for the whole 30 minutes, but there was something in him knowing that I don't have to do this assignment the whole day, just 30 minutes. But I learned all of this from taking notes and connecting the dots. So here is what I want to do. I want to challenge you for 14 days to just put these 3 steps into play every single day. Be calm. That during the day you have to remain calm. So remember back there where I was telling you to have those routines in place so you can remain calm and take notes, particularly around the goal that you set. How is that working? Find some patterns there that you can begin to tweak for the next day for 14 days. And I want you to know, if every single day you're like, I don't know, I'm not seeing any patterns, here's what I want you to do. I simply want you to ask your child, if you were your homeschool teacher, how would you arrange homeschool to suit you? I just want you to have a good old conversation like, Take them out for some ice cream and ask them this question, not during the school day. Don't make this work. Make this a pleasurable conversation. Take them out, ask them, if you were your own homeschool teacher, how would you arrange homeschool to suit you? And then I want you to listen and listen carefully. Take notes, and I want you for the next week to say, okay, we're going to try this idea, and this idea for 1 week. And again, your goal for that week is to wake up, be calm. Don't keep an open mind. Don't criticize. Just keep an open mind, looking for the things that are going right. Take note of the things that are going right. And then at the end of the week, I want you to see what things actually work. What things can you actually adopt in your routines, your normal routines, and what things maybe you're willing to let go that you've been doing. You know, my Miles is 20 years old now, 6'4", 230 pounds. And I want you to know that he's in his third year in college. While many students have racked up a lot of debt going to school, my Miles has secured himself a football scholarship. And while many school students go to school and their grades plummet, my Miles has earned a 3.0 last semester. You know, he also is financially responsible, earning $500 a month as a resident assistant. Why am I telling you all of this? Because Miles was a promising student. Your child is a promising student. And just like Miles, he or she will see better days. But it depends on you, how you make them feel, what you say to them, and your ability to encourage and uplift, and your ability to have restraint during those difficult days. I want you to know better days are ahead. Now, for those of you who may have children with very, very challenging behavior or really struggling in school, I want to offer you something. I want to offer you the opportunity to have a chat with me. In 15 minutes, we can figure out the next step you can take. I promise you. But here's what you have to have in order for that promise to be filled. You have to have 14 days of taking note. So please join in on the challenge, the 14-day challenge, and take notes for 14 days. That means the weekend, because remember, you're looking for the behavior you want to see. So on the weekend, you're definitely looking for it. When are they showing their ability to pay attention? When are they showing that confidence that they need to be successful later on in life? Not just successful in homeschool. This is about the future. So I want to encourage you, take this 14-day challenge. If you have tried everything you know to do and you're not seeing patterns, please reach out to me. Let's chat for 15 minutes, because I know that better days are ahead, and I'm willing to help you get there. I'm willing to help you support your kid with a 15-minute consultation. We'll get there. All right? Take care.
Hi, my name is Muffy, and I want to encourage more kids to read. I am the star of King's very first book, King the Dream. King taught me how to read, and he can teach you too. Let's read together with King the Dream Storybook, The future looks bright for young learners everywhere. Our goal is to inspire 1 million kids to read. Will you help us reach our goal by purchasing the King the Dream storybook? It's located on King Can Read website, www.kingcanread.com.
I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone.
Have you heard about Book Authority's best new podcasting book winner, which is Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, for her book, The Power of Podcasting, Unlocking Tips and Strategies for Podcasting Success. This book is your podcasting coach in a book. She is sharing so many strategies. This book reached #1 twice on Amazon for new release and best-selling book. So go ahead to ctrmedianetwork.com to purchase your copy today, or simply place your order on amazon.com today and unleash the power of podcasting.
CTR Media Network was created for today's podcasters. We provide a safe haven for content creators that are everyday people doing extraordinary things. We have a system of positioning, monetization training, coaching, and support for our podcasters' success. CTR Media Network simply bridges that gap with a level playing field for your dreams to come true cost effectively. Our team provides a premium service and experience for our podcasters to grow. CTR Media Network provides access, support, resources, coaching, and community for our podcasters to win, if you put in the work. We believe that we are living in a unique time which requires you to share your message of hope with millions of people around the world. Remember that the world is never too saturated for you, your voice and message. A platform for positive, impactful media where the content creators are in the driver's seat. Visit our website today by going to www.ctrmedianetwork.com.
In, right? Because if we're studying weather, if we're studying Percy Jackson, if we're studying oceans, there's American history in there, if you want to look for it. This involves observation of your child, which as parents we're all doing anyway, right? And discovering how to use what they want to do. Maybe your child loves Minecraft. My older son really isn't interested in doing anything but Minecraft. And I talked about when we're doing last year, because he just started this private school. I'm sorry, he just started this private school this year. So last year, what we did was a homeschool hybrid, right? And as we were doing our unit studies, because I don't have time to teach every child individually, I'm a single mother. I have a full-time job. I have a business.
You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are. The media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above all. Never lasting. Motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to go up and profit, how to better yourself, your health, and see we.
The podcast of CTR Media Network. That's me. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks to her. My podcast is doing great.
That's skin tone. I'm telling you, I already know this. That skin tone. I'm telling you.
No, but I was getting that. I was getting some of that from my own people.
That's what I'm saying. That's like the dumb part for me, bro. Like, we the crabs in the buckets, man. Like, we always gonna. It's always us trying to pull us back in the bucket, man. I don't get that at all.
Yeah,
I don't get that part at all.
But that's a good question. So I think you got to keep your eyes open for the opportunities. You got to understand what you're passionate about, and then that's how you can start to really maneuver yourself and kind of find yourself into these spaces where other people aren't really paying attention to.
Yeah, find your niche.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sometimes you got to create it. Yeah. I didn't even know it was a niche. I just knew people weren't on air doing it. Like, y'all know somebody's not doing something you want to do. And so it's like, okay, how can you do it that's really relevant to you? That's going to be a niche because it's relevant to you. Nobody else can be you, so it's going to be unique anyway.
Yep, she right. Man, you speaking facts, bro.
Gotcha. We got a comment from the King Starter today. Let's see. We got a comment. We got a comment that says it's always good to be in a circle or common denominator or whatever it is that you are in to coincide in the field you want to be in.
That's powerful. And you know, when we in these rooms, it's no time for second doubt. It's no time for like second guessing, no time for self-doubt. Like when you're in the room, you already got in the room. Like I'll see people get into a room and then they shrink. And I'm like, yo, why y'all shrinking? Like, this is the time to express yourself. Like, you already in the room. You're supposed to be here. I don't care if you're the youngest one. I don't care if you're the blackest one. I don't care. Like, if you in the room, you're supposed to be in the room. So max it out, you know, take advantage of it. I completely agree with, like, you know, it's good to be in the circle of that common denominator, whatever it is that you're in.
Let me ask you this. When you in that room, is there some do's and don'ts that you should do or you shouldn't do, or what you should say when you shouldn't say? Is there a lingo? Is there like a protocol? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think before there would be an argument that could be made that, we know how to play the game. And I think that that's done now. I think that, there's no need for you to do that. You need to fully be you. And if somebody else can't deal with it, that's actually their issue. Yeah. And I know, like, well, how far, Mario? That's up to the individual. I can't tell. But what I can tell you is, like, just read the spaces. Like, what I do know is that I do know that we know how to read a room. I do know that. And I think that's just because of how we've had to move. That I think, at least for me, I know that I can read a room. And I know that if I'm in the room, I'm not being quiet to be quiet. I'm not going to talk just to talk. I'm going to have something to say or some value to add or a question that hopefully generates some action. But I'm not just going to be sitting in the background. So I think that, number one, be you. Because at least if somebody's trying to play you for being you, at least you understand what that is. Like I'd like to know why I'm being played. And if I'm not being me, I can't tell if I'm being played because now I done acted fake or I did something that's not true to me. So now I don't know if they're playing me because of that or because of something else. And now I'm all like confused. I'd rather just be authentically me and then understand exactly where it is and exactly where somebody else stands, because then I know how to maneuver. I know how to work with that. And so I think, number one, I don't think you should be quiet in a room, but I think you should speak up when you have something of value to say.
Cool. Have your lane became more difficult, being that it's a more open world? Like what I'm saying, you know, the internet got more powerful, and you got more people in your lane. Have you felt the pressure? You know, like you're at your level, right? You know what to get there, but are you feeling pressure? Like it seems like it's so easy for guys to just come up now. They see you, they'll look at you and be like, "Oh, let me copy this, and I'm finna come up." Do you feel that pressure? Like you say, "I work hard, man. I had to do this. I went through evictions, everything to get to." And it seems like it's kind of like the boxing world. People are mad at forgot his name because I don't really watch him. The white box. What's that celebrity boxer? I forgot his name. Jake Paul. Like the real box man.
Yeah, Jake Paul.
Yeah. And you skipping up the ropes because you're a celebrity. So do you feel that pressure being in the lane? How hard it till you get to the lane? But then you got all these tech people just doing it, or you know.
Well, you know what, man? I didn't feel that type of pressure. I felt different pressure. I understand how people can feel that too, though. But I started noticing, just like you said, like paying attention to the market. I started noticing internet was becoming way more available. People were asking their kids more and more questions. Their kids were growing up on the internet, so now they can answer their parents' problems. So my job of being kind of like this filter that was able to educate all these masses of people was, I was like, yo, they got Google now. Like things are going to change real quick.
Right.
And they got Google in their house. Like they got their sons, daughters, nieces, nephews. Like, and so I was like, all right. And at that time, I was also ready to kind of pivot. I was ready to do more in entrepreneurship. I was ready to do, because I knew that I was more than tech, but I knew that was my way in. So what was actually happening to me is I was getting pigeonholed. What was actually happening was the networks and the media and all these other people that knew me only knew me for tech or only wanted to see me doing tech. So anytime I had something else to offer or to give up, they didn't even want to hear it. They had already boxed me in so tight. They were like, yo, just stay in that box. You killing it in that lane. Like, why would, like, what do you know? And I understand how that happens to people. So I think for me, the pressure was, how do I leave something that's been so good to me? And can I actually make that step out on faith to change my whole trajectory? So yeah, I talk about tech, but nowhere near, like now tech is like 10% of what I talk about. Nowhere near where it was 100% of what I talked about before. So that was a rough moment to be like, I'm going to actually walk away from what has been feeding me really, really well, because I think I see the writing on the wall and I think I'm kind of done with this. And if I don't switch now, I think I'll be typecast forever.
Man, you got some, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. You got like this, you got a big belief system. It seems like you don't, and I get why you got that belief system, because you do have to take the chance. You got to step off the ledge. And a lot of people are scared to step off the ledge, you know. And
because our brain is wired to protect us. See, that the hack is this, right? You're so right. But like, a lot of people will operate based off of fear,
right?
Operate like based off of avoiding fear,
right?
As opposed to like actually leaning into the possibility of it working out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's so it's like the same people that like, and I get this line too, where people be like, "Yo, I love it when the haters come after me because it gives me like that fuel." I get that, and I've had those moments in my life too. But you know what? I also like proving my supporters right. So it's like which energy do I want to do? Do I want to do the negative energy of like, yo, I can't wait for these haters to see me get on. Like, okay, I get that can fuel you in the instant, but do I really want to carry that fuel for like 3 years trying to prove these haters wrong? Or do I really want to prove the people that do believe in me right? And so I kind of try to change and reframe the perspective. And it's because I found out through talking to a neuroscientist, and he broke it down. He was like, well, the brain doesn't know the difference. When it's afraid, it's afraid. So somebody walking up on a stage in front of 200 or 2,000 people could robot. I ain't Chat GPT out here. So like, I'm like, yo, I'm glad somebody caught that. I'm like, yo, I was like, damn, that fell flat.
Now you get it.
But I'm like, yo, I know that when I feel my palms getting sweaty or my underarms getting sweaty, I'm like, oh, okay. This is okay. I'm about there's a breakthrough that's about to happen right now. Like whatever you're thinking, keep going. Like I bumped into Byron Allen recently, and I got TV shows. I got stuff I'm trying to. I've been trying to get in front of Byron Allen for a minute because people don't know on the low. This dude been killing it.
Yeah.
Like you know, it wasn't until he got on the Breakfast Club, everybody was like, "What?"
Sure.
Before the Breakfast Club, I already knew he'd been killing it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, I'm getting sweaty palms. I'm trying to get my phone, my photo album in my phone right, because whenever I roll up on somebody, I got stuff in my phone, in my photo albums, labeled, ready. So I got video, I got testimonials, I got me on TV, I got me in the podcast, I got me with celebrities, I got like whatever I need to show people while I'm talking to them. I'm like, show you, my phone is right beside my face. So they can be looking at my phone and looking at me and be like, okay, this dude seemed to be the real deal. And so I was getting all nervous and I was like, okay, yep, you feeling that energy. But at that time, most people shut down. So I think if you could understand that that's what your body's just going through because it's just meant to protect you, but that you're not in a life or death situation, that you actually need to embrace that feeling because that means you're about to hit a breakthrough.
Yeah, taking it back a little bit about getting into the room. When did you come up with the idea that you're going to ask people for 11 minutes of their time instead of asking for just a minute or an hour or 30 minutes?
Because man, people ask for too much damn time from people. And it's like, okay, so really how I found out that this 11 minutes could work was partially a Jedi mind trick. It was partially like, I'm going to ask for something different. But I could have asked for 15 and that would have still been different. But what I found was when so many people would hit me up and they would be like, yo, can I get a few minutes of your time? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. Because I'm just like that kind of approachable, accessible kind of guy. Like I don't play like that. So I'm like, yeah. But then when you tell me you're going to have me for 5 minutes, but then you go for like 20, I'm like, damn, this ain't really what you told me it would be. Like I can do it, but like I got to actually get ready to go before I'm like late from my shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, no disrespect, but so I recognize that people, don't really pay attention. Many people don't pay attention to time. And so they ask for what they think they should ask for. They ask for what they think is common. And what I'm saying is you want to do stuff that's uncommon if you want to get uncommon outcomes.
Facts.
So I ask for things that are uncommon. I'm asking you for 11 minutes. Why? Because 11 is a unique number. I'm not asking you for 15 because the last time somebody asked you for 15, you found yourself with them for 30. So people have abused 15. They've abused 30. They abused an hour. I don't need all of that. Yeah. Plus, I also know I don't need to shoot my whole shot in one moment with you. Let me just get 11 minutes. Let's just date for a second. Let's even just find out if we even should be dating. So let me just get 11 minutes with you. And then if that 11 minutes goes good, then we can go further on. Yeah, so I think asking for the 11 minutes really puts people off guard because they like, damn, if he's really serious about 11 minutes, I can give him 11 minutes. So number one, they're not used to seeing it. Number two, it's a short amount of time that I'm asking them for, but it's enough time just to get enough info. And number three, when I actually hold to it, they're like, damn, they believe me now. I just earned trust because I actually held to it. And in most cases, when I say thank you, you know, our 11 minutes is just about up. I appreciate it. Oh, I got a few more minutes. You know, we can go to such and such. Most of the time that happens, you actually get extended more time.
All right, I got this question. You jump in. So everybody jumping in. We got a lot of, you see, we got a million questions. We're trying to get them in. My question is about your beautiful queen. My question about your queen, who you say been in the business for you. How did you, a lot of times, my struggle with you being in a relationship, right? When you're going through a hard time, a lot of people give up on you. They can't go through it with you. They like, I can't do it. So how did you, what was it that kept y'all so persistent, so strong? And do you think you'll be where you are without her? And if
Hell
not,
no.
What is her role? What is her role? Because a lot of people need to hear does she do for you to make you at where you at? Like, the people need to hear what these queens doing because a lot of people think it's just solo game out here. And there's a lot of people in the background.
Nah, fam. Like, yo, I would nowhere be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for her.
Right.
Nowhere. Like, it's just, and it's not like, oh, why? Because she was maintaining the house. She was doing that and running the business. Truth be told, she's the CEO, fam. I don't have the CEO title. She does.
Woo.
So then there's also got to be some talk about brothers being having humility. Do you have enough humility to make your partner the CEO, or do you got to have the ego to go with it?
Yeah.
I had to learn that game. Look, I wasn't all like self-righteous. This ain't like Mario been on that for me. Nah, man, Mario was egotistical. Mario was selfish. Mario had to learn, like, yo, you're not getting somewhere because you're being selfish. And she was showing that to me. And then I had to come to a realization, like, is she right? Or am I going to continue defending myself until I'm blue in the face?
Right.
And at a certain point, I had to be like, yo, it's the common denominator is me. It's like the dude that keeps getting fired from every job, and every job is the problem.
Right.
It's like, yo, is it really every woman you with is the problem? Like,
yeah,
are you doing any work, bro? Are you doing any work? So at a certain point, I had to like be real with me and be like, no, I got to do this work. So she became CEO, rightfully so. And I think the difference was making sure two things. When you got a dream and a vision, I think people underestimate treating their family like stockholders.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I treat my family like stockholders. What does that look like? That looks like this. I have a dream. I got a vision. I would like to get you to leave your day job. She wasn't trying to leave her day job. She was actually making more in her salary than I was. So this was an uphill battle when I got laid off to be like, hey, this is my runway. I got laid off. I can pursue the side hustle thing. You come and join me. You can make this thing really work. I can do the marketing and da-da-da. You can run the economics and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. We got a kid. We got all this. No.
Yeah.
I sat her down and I did a presentation. I said, 2:00 Saturday, meet me in the kitchen. 2:00 Saturday, meet me in the kitchen. I knew how to use PowerPoint. I put the shit together. I put a PowerPoint slide deck together, and I showed her what the idea was, who I felt the competition was, what I felt the opportunity could be, what the business kind of could look like if we could work on this, and how she could play a role. So I basically did what they call in marketing terms a SWOT analysis. I looked at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, and basically put together. And to even make it more simple, it's just who, what, when, where, why, how.
Yep.
And if you just do one slide for each one of those questions, your family be like, oh, so you're not doing this tomorrow? No, we're going to do this in like 6 months. I'm going to pad my bank account. We're going to do some savings. We're going to not eat out. We're going to beef it up so that we can get ready for this. Oh, now I understand why we got to take this sacrifice. Oh, now I understand why I can't ask dad for that extra cereal. Like, it all starts to make sense because the family has been brought in to see the vision. Now, the challenge is don't just dictate it to them. Make it a conversation. Show it to them, present it, but then, hey, what are y'all thoughts? What questions do you all have? Oh, and then the last thing I would say is show them examples, if you can, of other people that have also made it. Because too often we got to see that, oh, you mean you're going to be like Charlemagne? Oh, you mean you're going to be like such and such? Like, that can somewhat help people to kind of get a frame around what you are trying to present to them if they can't get the idea based off of how you're presenting it to them without that.
Wow.
That's
so now when my kid was like, hey, dad, I want to get a dog. I was like, okay, that sounds great. It's your 10th birthday. I understand you want to do that. I'm going to need to see a presentation. And that dude at 10, that dude at 10 was literally putting together, and he answered all the questions. Who is it? It's a dog.
Yeah.
Who's going to take care of it? Him, with the parents' help. What will I do? I will walk it. I will feed it. You know, it was like, why do I want a dog? Because I think it would be fun. Like, I remember, like, yo, he did the presentation. I was like, okay,
fam, that's a TikTok reel, fam. That's a money avenue for you. Need to do a TikTok reel with presentations, man. That'll go live. Like, I'm gonna do one, bro. I'm like, yeah, you want me to cut the yard? I need a presentation why I need the yard cut. I need to know what the benefit of me going out instead of paying the lawn man. Why I need to go out there.
I'm saying, if you show that to your queen and you sit her down and you treat her like 2:00 Saturday, you're going to meet me in the dining room, or take it out the house. Sometimes you got to get out of the environment of where everything is so used to everything else. Right. And like, so go get a hotel room do it in the hotel room, or ask a friend for a spot, like anywhere but where the normal chaos or the normal reactions can happen. Take it off turf, because then you really get them more exposed and more open. And so I think if you do that with the person you really care about, And if they can't see that, that doesn't mean that they don't support you. It just means they might be scared as hell. And you got to really find out, are they afraid? Because that's different than, do they believe I can do it?
Right.
If they don't believe I can do it, then we got to have a deeper discussion about what we even doing. like, what's this about?
You're right. That's what a lot of people stuck in, is they stuck on people who don't support. A lot of people, they don't support each other. So a lot of people are stuck in these situations. They don't even support it. Like, dreams have to be supported. That's just, for me, it got to be supported.
And that's why I'm like, there's two types of dream killers. You got the dream killers that actually don't want to see you be successful.
Right.
And you know what that feeling is like. You know how to avoid them. You know how to feel that energy. But then you got your parents or other friends that are scared for you because they don't see what you see and they didn't do what you do. So now it's fear. But it shows up as like dream killing, because it shows up like, why don't you do the safe thing? It shows up like, why don't you just wait for that? You don't really have the education for that. Like, it shows up like that. But what that doesn't mean like they really don't want to see you be successful. It just means they don't understand it. So, but they show, but then they open up their mouth and then we listen to it. And then we like, damn, maybe I can't, you know? So I think presenting the facts of the situation makes it harder for people to bring their opinions into your dreams.
Fact. And I see you got a background in music. I heard you talking about music. I think you're a lover of music. I see the hoodie. I like that hoodie you got on, for real.
Yeah. Shout out.
It's a lot. Being that you're doing, you done made it and stuff with these artists. Like they just said, I don't know if nobody read. They said they just got walk on RICO charges. What is your opinion on all these artists? Like, you see all the murders happening, and they saying it don't even make sense to even do a record deal. Like, all this stuff that's happening, the RICO charges. Why? I mean, what's your opinion on that and what's going on, you know, with today and all that, man? It seemed crazy to me to have them, even with someone that had that much money. It's like, I don't get with Frank Lucas. I said, man, how you make $1 million? They say, man, pull $1 million a day. How you don't pull out the game the next day? How you don't just work 1 week and say, you know what, I'm done. I done made $7 million Monday through Sunday. Let me go to Hawaii and chill. And cops not on me. What? It's crazy what's happening right now, man. I don't. It's like the hip hop world is messed up. It's crazy.
I mean, look, man, and I'm not holier than thou, right? Like I've made dumb decisions. I had a 9 in my hand a couple of times. I've been in like situations that it's just like, this doesn't seem right. Oh, okay, better get out of this. And fortunately, at those like last moments, I made the right decision to kind of like get out of whatever those situations that I got myself into.
Right.
So I think that, when you're young, man, you think it's just going to keep coming, and you think it's just going to keep coming. You think the money's never going to stop. You think it's going to keep coming. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of young brothers that are hurt because, they haven't been treated right. They don't have the right upbringing. They haven't had the right the father figures in the households, for some of them, not all of them. And so I just think like identity crisis is just, it's crazy. Plus, you got social media that turns everything into like astronomical comparison.
Ooh, Lord. Yes,
it's astronomical to compare now. I mean, to the point where you got Ja, Memphis, you got
Ja Morant, yeah.
Yes, bro.
It's like,
that story there.
You could go to the epitome of like, yo, what is he even doing? But it's like, okay, but do y'all know that everybody can carry in Tennessee?
Yeah,
like,
that's what. Oh my God.
Like, you can carry in Tennessee. Like, why are y'all tripping? It's not like he in Maryland doing this. Like,
they on the WNBA now. They on WNBA talking about they getting on there for get on them for wearing they nails and the hair in their head. And I'm like, come on, y'all going back to the Iverson days.
I was going to say Allen Iverson already took care of this. I thought,
like, now the ladies can't wear nails and stuff. They making their shots. What is the problem? Like,
we talking about IG Live. We talking about IG Live. We talking about
I'm telling you,
IG Live. Did I shoot somebody? We talking about IG Live. Like,
man, I'm like,
now I'm not saying I'm not condoning it, right? Like I'm saying that's a stupid move for him to do it on a live. Why is he doing that? He's looking for some other acceptance. He's looking for some other validation. As a young kid, I get that. But it's like, yo, this is where it's the fight that we have is against this validation. It's against this identity, and it's against support systems. Because if you don't have it from your home, you're gonna get it from the street. At least that's what you think you're gonna. At least that's what you think you get.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's a tough
Yeah.
battle. I just
Mhm.
really wish
Yeah.
that there's any young people that listen to this, that if you got that even inkling of a feeling like I did, like, nah, this isn't right. I should be doing something. And you trying to figure out how to get out, you gotta talk to that older brother, that uncle in your neighborhood, that cousin that seemed to be on the right path. Like, you gotta go talk to somebody and say what you're struggling with. Because you haven't figured out how to make the
Now-
move yet, and you need some advice or somebody with other exposure to be able to see inside your world, to give you some ideas on how you might be able to step out of that.
Fact. Hey, gang, I just want to let y'all
Now-
know I'm doing the podcast. My battery, I'm on an iPhone. My junk just said low power. We know what that means. So it might die on me in case I blank out. But man, I'm doing the show. Y'all take over in case I blank out. But man, I enjoyed you. I'm definitely gonna be reading your content, following more of your content, and I hope God keep blessing you and your family, your wife and your family, man. Y'all just go out of limits with me, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Like I said, with our culture, I know with blacks, we have a problem sharing and helping each other. We crabs in the bucket.
Yeah,
you see every culture help each other. Every culture help each other, but we the crabs in the bucket. Like I said, I like what you're doing. You have very good points, and you right about what you're saying, man. You gotta have no fear. It's like going to the casino knowing I got $100, but I'm scared to lose my 100. Why I'm at the casino? Take the money, I ain't scared to lose. That's stupid. I ain't finna go and I'm shaking the whole time. Like, oh Jesus, Jesus, please let me hit. This is my last 100. That's dumb for me to be. Let me take something I can lose. Somebody ain't got fear. So man, I appreciate everything you said. You done gave me a lot of input. Hey, in my own life. So man,
hey man, I appreciate that too, bro. And I appreciate that you all are doing this podcast in this way, and that you all are being vulnerable, because that too is something that we don't do. And it's being it can be frowned upon to be vulnerable, to show what's quote unquote seems weak. Like, there's a moment where you gotta stand up for your family. I get that. But you're a human being. And I think like this whole, the problem with part of the problem, I'm not gonna say the problem, but part of the problem with the crabs in the bucket mentality is because we have been conditioned not to have stuff.
Ooh, yes.
And because of the structural racism, because of how it's all been done, when we get something, we like, yo, hold on to that.
Right.
But what we have to understand now is that game has really changed due to the internet, due to the access, due to the fact that we can buy from each other. We don't have to rely on somebody else to buy from us.
Right.
We don't have to rely on somebody else to take our products. So now that we know that, and now that we can be smarter about that, now it's like, no. Now we have to start getting international with our thinking. And I think that's where we get like limited. Even in our own team, I'm like, y'all, we got to start thinking about how we get this podcast on in India.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get a book out, and then I want that book done in like 6 different languages.
Ooh.
So it's like, we got to get exposure, and we got to get exposure. And so I think like when we do that, we start to understand that the pie isn't small at all. The pie is big as hell.
Right.
And when we start, like I asked Shaq one time, man, and no disrespect, but I asked him, I was like, hey, how come y'all don't get together with like other players and like y'all pool y'all money together and like invest in, like, this is 10 years ago, invest in like entrepreneurs and other people with great ideas that look like us. And he said an answer to me that back then, I'm sure it's different than how he would answer it now. But back then he was like, well, my money guy doesn't necessarily talk to my friend's money guy. And I was like, yo, I don't understand that concept. Like, you the one with the money.
Right.
And I'm trying to tell you that y'all could pull together some money to make some really big change, as opposed to you doing something here and him doing something over there. And you telling me your money guy don't mess with that money guy, so therefore y'all don't pull together. Like, I just checked out at that point. Checked out because I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
No, that's real Hollywood, bro. Because even Stallone said, I mean, everybody know Creed 3. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Say he hit 100. He made his number. They saying Stallone didn't work with. It was a money thing because he didn't want to work with the director or something with this movie. He's like, I don't want to do it with him. So you right about this. Like, it seemed like money gets so big. Now your money talk for you. Money talk. Now your money talk for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, we ain't finna go over here. We ain't finna go over here. And it's all the people that's like, say, you're not even controlling your own money.
Right.
But
and I'm sure that's different now. I'm sure because he's been invested in a ton of businesses. He's done a lot of stuff, and he gives back like crazy. But I may have just caught him at a moment, and he was being real and he was being honest. But now I understood why it was happening, and I understand like this whole crabs in the barrel mentality. It's even happening with people that got a lot of money.
Yes.
It's like, yo, so we got a lot of conditioning that we have to break down. And the way we break it down is by actually lifting each other up, by giving me a shot to come on your podcast. By now me being like, damn, is there a way that I can promote this podcast? Is there something I can do for them?
Right.
You know, so it's like, it's got to be reciprocated.
Yes, sir, man. We appreciate you coming on, man. And I watch you live with Ash Cash. I watched the webinar, and man, you say, man, just,
right
you gotta have the strength, man, to just ask the question. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The courage to ask the question. I reached out, man, and we appreciate you coming on.
Bruh,
now I'm gonna ask you another one.
asking is the
Go ahead.
fastest, lowest cost way of acquiring info and creating new opportunity. It just is. You just gotta keep asking.
I like this guy, man. I like him. I like him, man. I like him, man.
It's common sense, but it's not common practice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
common sense, but it's not common practice. And it's just like, when you ask, if somebody says no, and you go and ask somebody else, and they say no, and they're saying no for the same, there's only two reasons why you should be getting a no. If it's the same reason over and over, that you're getting the same reason, then there's something wrong with your ask. If it's the same reason. If it's a different reason, one time it's like, no, because it's the wrong time. One time it could be like, no, because it costs too much. Or I thought it had these features. If it's different answers, then that means you just haven't found the yes yet. You got to keep going. You don't change your pitch. You don't change your ask. You got to keep trying to find the right audience. Because a lot of times we are pitching the wrong people. We're not even asking. We're asking for people to give us a yes, and they don't even have the power to do it. So we got to be smart about who we're pitching or who we're going after. And then when we get that no, we got to understand, am I hearing that no, the same no over and over? Then I might need to switch up what I'm doing. If I'm hearing a different no, Mario said, stay on that path. Don't change up what I'm doing. I'm just got to hit the right person. It's going to happen. So I don't know how many other people you asked and they told you no. How many other people have you asked and they told you no?
Well, I asked a few guys for a white pair of glasses. So let me ask you, can I have them white glasses? I got two no's the other day. Make you say yes, because you just said.
Yeah, you can have them if you go to Zenny.com, you can pick up a pair. If these didn't have prescription in them, I'd give them to you, but they got prescription in them. But Tony, for real though, how often do you ask people to come on? Does everybody say yes?
No.
No, man. Majority don't respond.
Yeah.
But man,
but you keep asking, right?
It's good.
Yeah.
But you kept asking, right? And here we are.
Don't get discouraged.
Nope.
Sir. Now I got a question for you.
Okay.
What was the first brand that you secured?
The first brand deal?
Yeah, the first paid brand deal that you secured.
Oh man, yeah, and really, oh man, first paid brand deal, man. That goes. I mean, that's probably that might have been Microsoft. That might have been man, that might have been Staples at the time. But the best one that we got, that really changed the game, because those were like all smaller ones. Those were like 5 and 10K. But when I got that 186,000 from FedEx office, that's when I was like, okay, this a whole other like this a whole other situation. There's a lot that I can do. And so that was our first season of our show. And we needed to get about eight episodes done, and we put up some of our own money. But then we were able to get 168,000 from FedEx office. And I think that was the biggest deal for us, because when we did that, I recognized like, oh man, if you know how to package and you know how to present, then it's just a matter of making sure that you think you can solve a problem that they have and show your solution in a way that can help them solve a problem. There's money. And that's like nothing to them, but that was like everything to us.
Yeah, I have a question. We are, we're part of the CTR Media Podcast Network. And we have multiple podcasters. When is a good time to reach out to these branding companies, or what are they looking for to actually do a partnership with them?
Yeah, they're looking for who's your audience is like the most important thing. It's not necessarily the most important, but it's like right there, like number 2 and number 3. Like, who are you reaching, and who's gravitating to what you're doing? Like, that's really, really important to understand who that person is. Like, what do they buy? What do they eat? Where do they shop? What kind of music they listen to? What do they get in the grocery store? Are they shopping in Whole Foods, or are they shopping like in Giant? Do they have it like that where they're getting like groceries delivered and using like Instacart and Uber Eats and Peapod, or are they having to go out and get like, so understanding what we call the psychographics, which is like the consumer behavior, the things that they're into, and then understanding the demographics, which is like the age, the income, zip code, education levels, things of that nature. The brands really want to know more of the psychographics than the demographics. The demographics are important probably just for age, but then after that, it's more like it's all about like the buying habits and what your psychographics show for your audience. So brands need really 3 things. They need to understand who your audience is. They need to understand the alignment that you see with them. So if you got a podcast, like what's your other podcast about?
T Swin, live at T Swin. It's mostly like about music, expediting in the transportation world, and just like my daily life.
But it's also about did I hear the transportation world?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So then I say to you, what are some of the products and services that people in the transportation world need? What comes to mind? Like what product or what service? What are things that people in the transportation world need?
They need equipment to secure the freight. They need PPE, personal protective equipment, GPS systems, electronic log systems.
Perfect. All of these are the brands that are aligned. Perfect. Those are your target companies. Those products, those services are the brands that you would be going to because you got the listener that's paying attention to that. JB, what's your podcast about?
I don't have this is the only podcast that I'm on. I'm new to the game.
Oh, okay. But that's the question. The question is, no matter if you're doing an event, you know, like if you decide, Hoverman, if you decide that you're going to do an event about violence or security or something where you're trying to bring the community together, like why wouldn't you get brands who support that? So like these got to be brands that are down with your mission, but there definitely are brands that are down with that mission. It's just a matter of, are you talking to them? Are you telling them who's going to show? Are you giving them a sense as to who that audience is? So when you can tell a brand, I have an audience, like for me, when I say I have an audience of entrepreneurs, and some of these are side hustlers, some of these got like full-time jobs and they're working on a side gig. Some of them are solopreneurs, meaning they're an entrepreneur of one, and then others have like maybe 3 to 5 employees. Like that's who I'm talking to. And they're trying to build their brand. They're trying to put out digital products. They may be also coaches. They may be podcasters, YouTubers, social media influencers. They may be authors, and they may have their own masterminds and they may do events. Like that's who I'm talking to. And so then I can tell them, look, 80% of my audience travels and they travel more than 5 times a year. So that tells me I can go after brands that want travelers. Even though my content might be motivational and inspirational, I'm not talking about how to get a plane ticket for free. I'm talking to the audience that wants to get the information that I want to give, but I did a survey on my audience and I asked them these questions. And that gave me information to understand what's my listeners' behavior like. Oh, I got people that fly a lot. Well, that indicates that they travel, that they got disposable income, that they need rewards points, that they need luggage, that they need hotels, that they need Ubers and Lyfts, that they need rental cars. So it tells me all the companies that I could be approaching to get for sponsorship. So it's that kind of structure that we, you know, in my programs, we really teach people how to uncover that, because a lot of times they're so close to it, they don't even know how easy it is. And then it's once you identify who, like once you know who your audience is, and then you identified who makes the most sense, like who is aligned with that audience, then it's like how, then the third thing is how are you packaging it to present it to them? Because then everybody's like, yo, who do I contact? And I'm like, yeah, okay, there's so many different people that are brand that you could contact. So it's not about who do you contact. It's about when you get the contact, what are you going to actually send to them? What are you going to actually tell them? Especially if you're just a startup, or especially if your podcast is new, or you don't have a lot of numbers. How are you going to prove some value, even though you may not have a large following? Because it's not that you don't. I'm about to post up a reel tomorrow morning that shows that brands are actually spending more money now. 77% of brands are actually spending more on micro influencers than macro influencers. Like it's dropped. The big audiences with the big followings is now like at 64%, and people with like 5,000 to 10,000 followers is at 77%. So these brands are looking for people to do business with that got smaller audiences. And the reason is because when you got a smaller audience, they know that the listener or the viewer is actually wants to be there. They're actually engaged. They're actually going to buy something or support you or give to your Patreon or buy your merch or show up at your event. And since they know that, they're like, yo, how do we got to get a bunch of people with small numbers to advocate for our brand. So it's like they got to find you. And that makes it really difficult for you to be found if you're not putting your stuff out there to be found, or if you're not approaching them. So I think the biggest problem is a lot of people think the deals come to you. Deals don't come to you. You got to go and get the deals. But once you start putting yourself out there, it makes it easier for other deals to come to you once you start getting deals, just like anything else.
Yeah.
Once you got that woman one time and she was hot, you were like, yo, I actually pulled that off. You had the confidence you could do it again.
Yeah.
But you had to get through the one time. And when other women saw you with that fly woman, how T-Swin pull that? Now they checking T. Right? So like it's nothing different with brand deals. The minute I did the FedEx office, you know, UPS is looking at me, right? And then just last year I did a deal with UPS. So it's like it builds your credibility. The association starts to leverage your credibility, and you can use that credibility to another level.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember, man, in the webinar that you did, you said list the companies that you want to target and then list their competition. So, man, and
that's the
I had
fastest
about 30
way to get a list.
30 companies. Yeah, I had about 30 companies on my list.
I forgot that I said that, because if you know like Verizon is, you know, it should be a sponsor, then that means T-Mobile, AT&T. That means you go on and on. So you're right. The minute you come up with a list, all you got to do is think about, well, who are their competitors, and you're going to triple that list.
Now, where can people go to get this training from you?
Yes, hit me up. Go to neversettleacademy.com. Neversettleacademy.com. We got the program and everything in place. We really help walk you through getting those deals and making it happen. We're turning up a few things with the program too, where we actually make your materials for you now. Like we make your video reel, we make your media kit. We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot more than what we did even a year ago. So go to neversettleacademy.com or just DM me on Instagram at Mario Armstrong. DM me on Instagram. But what I don't want people doing is I don't want them taking out loans before they check with me. I don't want you dipping into the credit card before you check with me. I don't want you asking for family and friends for money, and then you have to run and hide when you got to try to pay them back and you ain't got it yet. And now they're getting antsy. Now nobody believes in the dream. Like, just hold off on all that. Like, let's try to get the money from another source that doesn't have to be paid back. That's the beauty of the sponsorship deals. Like, if you actually can get one, it can help to fund the idea. And then all you have to do is execute on what it is you said you were going to do for that brand. You just got to execute, but you can keep your costs really low in order to do that. So you can get a higher profit margin when you keep your costs low.
I have a question for you.
Nah, man. So what do you? Go ahead, Joe.
You're a really good speaker, Mario. I was wondering, is what kind of training did you have? Did you have like this from trial and error, from constantly doing podcasts, or did you actually like read some books, or were you on a debate team, or
none of it, bro? None of it. It was studying other people that seem to really have it together. So Oprah, Arsenio. I'm just trying to think of some people that I've watched over the years. Even more recently, even watching Kevin Hart interview people. I like watching Kevin. I like watching the dude. I forget the dude's name on Hot Ones. I forget that dude's name. But just watching certain people and then asking, bro, like every opportunity that I got into, like when I got into the TV business and I asked, could I do it for free? And they say, yeah, then I would ask them, like, you know, do you stare? Do I stare at you or do I look at the camera? You know, and they were like, no. Just we're having a conversation. Only talk to the camera when you actually need to say something direct to the audience that you feel is really personal or needs to be intimate. Other than that, keep it as a conversation. Oh, okay, check. When I was starting to do stuff in radio, I would pick up on little things that I would read. I'd read that dude would put his stomach up against, like, he would put his stomach up against the back of his chair. So you have his chair, right? But he put his diaphragm like up under there, and then he would talk on the mic, and that would give him like more resonance in his speaking. So it was a deeper, more full sound. I was like, what? So I was just picking up on all these little things and just watching people, man. And then I would just watch YouTube clips, and then it was just doing it and just putting the action in. And then I would listen to myself. I would. And for public speaking, what I would do for a while is I watched myself on mute. So a lot of people will watch themselves to study themselves, but I would watch myself on mute because I wanted to see what was my body language communicating. And if I'm smiling when I'm saying something that probably shouldn't have a smile, or if my hands are too busy, then I'm distracting the message. Or maybe I should have stood still at that point and delivered that moment instead of walking back and forth across the stage. So I like to study myself, and I like to study others, and then I just do, bro. Like I think the best way is just by getting on the field. Like I ain't trying to sit in a classroom too long to learn how to catch a pass. I'm trying to get on the field and just get my head knocked off while I learn how to catch a pass. Oh, I won't run that way next time. I'm a juke and go left. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So to me, it's like the more you can do it and then pay attention to it. Like y'all get me excited. I like to talk, as you can see, and it's been hard for me, even in this scenario, to take pauses to like let y'all like actually have a moment. And that's something that I'm still kind of working on. Yeah. Because I know I can go, but I need to let it breathe. And I know sometimes I need to step back and like let people insert. So I'm still working on that.
Wow.
Yeah, I watch a lot. You can go. I know you can go, but it'd be good information though. And so we all listening because we students right now, and we appreciate all the game that you're giving us.
Telling you.
Yeah, I appreciate what y'all are doing, man.
So,
you know,
what are some things?
I mean, coming off of Chris Rock special,
what are some things you got going on?
I'm like, man,
right now. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, man. You can finish about 20 minutes. We had a little technical difficulty right there. They got a delay.
Yeah, just a little delay.
But yeah, I seen the Chris Rock special, man. It was funny, man. He say the best for the last on his stand up.
He say the best for the last. He definitely went. I mean, this is the man's podcast, right? We safe over here, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we
certainly.
Yeah, we play.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. I mean,
go ahead.
You know, I just think that was really number one. Shout out to Chris for keeping it quiet for that long, because that was strategic. And I bet you, I put
Yeah,
100 to
small
1 that
business
Dave Chappelle called him the minute it happened. It was like, don't you say a damn thing anywhere. Word that I got was that he was in the writer's room heavy with Dave and a bunch of and some other cats like that, heavy. And that's why Dave and him went on tour towards the end of last year. I think that was, they was on tour together. And if you watch the special, you can almost hear a little bit of Dave come out and kind of like how the structure of some of that was done. Not to take away from Chris at all, but you could just kind of hear just a little bit of that different structure. At least I did. And then I'm looking at Netflix and I'm like, oh, y'all are doing the bag right now. Like the story is going to be him talking about Will and Jada and the slap and all that. And I get that. And he bodied it. And people can say what they want to say, but from an artistic perspective, he bodied it. And I could see the rage that he still had. I ain't sitting here judging whether or not he should have done it, shouldn't have done it, whether Will should have hit him, not hit him, whether he did it because of Jada. I ain't even getting into any of that because everybody got their camps on that. All I'm saying is his art form came through and he bodied that. But what's really crazy is Netflix ain't playing. Netflix about to get into this live event production. Netflix about to get into the live streaming. And the fact that they did that on the back of Chris being a black comedian, whether you can say he got white audiences or whatever you want to say about Chris, whatever. What it shows me is that Netflix is about to go toe to toe in these streaming wars because Amazon got Thursday Night Football, YouTube got somebody else. Like Netflix already said we can't do the sports. We don't want to get in that business. So I'm like, oh, y'all gonna do live comedy shows. Y'all gonna start trying to bring up other live events. So it was just kind of wild. And then the fact that he did it in my hometown of Baltimore, I was like, damn, that's kind of cold. Because Jada from Baltimore. So I was like, I'm like, but yeah, I was peeping that Netflix game. I was really checking like how they did the pre-show and then they did the post-show.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I was like, man, it's a whole thing they testing right now. They testing this right now.
Beta test. That's definitely
Yeah. Yeah. But
Mario,
when I saw it say it was live, I said, oh man, you trying something new. Go ahead.
Yeah. I want Mario for those, you said, you hit rock bottom, you and your wife, but you had your wife with you as a support system. What would you say for those who don't have a support system? They're all by themselves. Because I remember when I hit rock bottom, I got pushed out of policing for actually standing up for truth, and fighting against some things that I did see. And by the way, man, I've done everything you can imagine in policing. Got all the awards, the accolades to go with it.
Damn.
But when I spoke out against what I saw was wrong, it got so unsafe that I had to leave.
Right.
And I'm glad I did.
Right.
So, and then, the finances, I had to, everything it was a struggle for a long time. And I didn't have no one to turn to, but God, of course. So what would be your advice for those who don't have someone that they can turn to for support when they hit rock bottom?
Bro, first off, I did not know that about your background. That says a lot, bro. Like,
yeah.
Now I also understand why you're also fighting the battle that you're fighting and who you're fighting for and why. Like it all, like if I had a chance to dig into that story, I would understand even deeper why. Right? Like the stuff you've seen, the stuff you've been through, and the stuff gets done. It's like you've been behind the Wizard of Oz. You understand exactly what's going on. To a level that was detrimental to your health.
Absolutely.
And your well-being. And I commend you for understanding and trying to figure out a way around it and also taking that self-preservation kicked in, but at the same time, it's still a tough decision because you got no livelihood now. Yeah. And so I think when it comes down to support, man, I mean, you really said it best. It's faith. I really don't have an answer for how someone gets out of their lowest low without some form of faith. And I think the hard pill that I may suggest to people and I'm being careful of how I say it because I don't want people to take it wrong. I'm saying this with love and empathy.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I don't even know if it's sometimes, if I'm being really real to what I'm feeling right now, I feel like all the time, whenever we go through something, even if it's bad, we were supposed to learn something from that. And I think that's the hard pill to swallow because it's kind of like, so you mean I was supposed to go through that suffering? Like, I don't how does that rationally make sense? And it's like, I can't tell you until you end up using something from that moment in some new event that happens in your life. And unless you have that awareness that that's where that came from, you may not even recognize that that's what the lesson was that you learned. But if we are seeking to understand how, you know, when that happened to you, the questions had to be crazy that were going through your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I ask you now, and I don't know if you've completely recovered from that or not. So if this doesn't feel comfortable, don't answer it. But if I ask you now, did you learn a lesson from that? And if so, what was the lesson?
Oh, I learned a lot of lessons. The main lesson is that, man, when you know I mean, I grew up in the project, so I know tough times. You know, my father wasn't there. My father died when I was a baby, and I know the struggles of life, and I know my skin color and my demeanor, how I carried myself. As soon as I entered the academy, I dominated, couldn't be touched. Got out of the academy, I dominated in all areas, and I did it the right way. But that's the key. And man, I'm gonna tell you something. I fought and put in jail some of the most dangerous criminals in Houston, and I had more worry not about being killed or harmed in a way by criminals, but by those who wore the same badge. So it was a constant battle between the two.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you something, Mario. But when that time came, when I had to sit before the chief and all the command staff and all that transpired with that, and I'm gonna tell you, man, I just couldn't believe at all the sacrifice they know I made and everything. Officer of the year, everything, man, everything I've done, Mario. No one, and it's gonna have to be. They're not talking about it, but Mario, the things I've done, no police officer has ever done in the history of policing. And they know that, and they still, because I spoke the truth about injustice, they pushed me out. And the only thing I learned from that is Jesus had to face and be persecuted, ridiculed, isolated, abandoned, and forsaken. He said to me, "What makes you different?" That's what the Lord told me. And he just kept me, man, through all that. That's the best I don't, before I get too emotional, but
nah, brother, I appreciate you sharing, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing. I see Multifarious Studio says deep. I appreciate you sharing because that level of vulnerability is important for us to understand. And I'm going to say this. I don't even know you. I just met you today. And what I got from that energy, your story, and I have no right to kind of claim what I think is a learning experience for you, but I'm going to say what I think actually may be a learning experience. Part of me wonders, I even feel more than a wonder, like I would bet on this, but part of me feels like you had to go to those heights. You had to be that decorated, and you had to be that clean for you to realize you can't make the impact inside of that system that you can outside of that system. But when your whole demeanor and everything was structured, I'm going to change it from within, and you did everything right to change it from within, and you did everything to get these accolades, to do what you did, to do things that haven't never been done before, and you do it within, And to still get treated like that tells me like, oh, that means his real impact is about to happen. Because he could only do, but so he did as far as he could do within. So all those people that you gave a second chance to, all those people that you gave a little bit of a lighter sentence to, all those people that you gave a pep talk to that we never got a chance to see you give a pep talk, all those people that you saw that you picked up off the street and helped try to get them straightened out, all that stuff we never saw. We never saw. But you did it. We didn't see it. But I can tell you this, that impact then was felt for that moment, and you were supposed to impact those people the way you did at that time, but then you hit your max. You peaked. You peaked, bro. You hit your max. It ain't a bad thing. It's a good thing. And I know that's, I know it's gotta be tough for me to say that to you. But I see it as like, oh my gosh, bro, what is he about to actually achieve now? Because now you don't have those same limits. Now you don't have those same rules. Now you don't have that same structure. And now you don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder like that. So what is that going to enable you to do? So now it's getting back to what's my next right step on this big vision. Let me use, you got the credit. You already got the credibility that most people don't have. Your story is the reason why
the Homeschooling Interactive magazine is a magazine that embraces and celebrates the entire homeschooling experience. Our magazine is different from all the rest because we provide beneficial information and assistance in homeschooling, business, wellness, mental health, resources, and life. We encourage you to pick up a copy of our magazine today on Amazon.com by simply searching the Homeschooling Interactive magazine. The Homeschooling Interactive magazine is all about impacting the world through home-based learning, helping to de-stress the homeschooling experience. Get your copy from Amazon today. Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights.